So this is a test case. I'm just testing out the possibility of using a YouTube channel for the videos that I have been doing. And I am really grateful for everybody who has been watching them and have been finding them useful from an information gathering and an analysis point of view. So again, thank you for those who are watching. Tonight, I sort of turned my worry toward Cuba. You know, it seems that Trump is already getting bored of Iran and knows very well this is not going well, as one European leader after another basically says, no, we are not entering this conflict. So now he's turning his gaze toward Cuba and saying things like he can do whatever he wants to, that he will take Cuba whenever he wants. It'll be his honor to take Cuba, and frankly, he can do whatever he wants to with Cuba. It sounds like a very abusive man saying something very abusive, so it's a little bit creepy. But revenge against Cuba has been a long time dream of Marco Rubio. And his whole Venezuela adventure has been about Cuba. So right now, Cuba has been put under siege. It is gunboat diplomacy. We shouldn't call it diplomacy, gunboat aggression of the 19th century that had been deployed by the United States against Latin America and the Western Hemisphere and other empires that had laid siege to their colonies in the 18th century as well. You know, Portuguese armadas and Spanish armadas, you know, showing up and pointing their guns at indigenous people. So that is what the US is now invoking, in addition to the Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine basically said that the Western Hemisphere and Latin America was their backyard to do with as they wished. And so Trump is really excited about that concept of doing with Latin America as he wishes. Like I said, it's really, really creepy. But right now, Cuba is entirely plunged into darkness because their electrical grid has failed. They have no fuel. They used to get a lot of their fuel from Venezuela, and that has been shut off. So there is a huge problem, and luckily for Cuba, they had started to solarize and use solar panels, so that might help a little bit, but they're certainly running out of essentials, and it is becoming a humanitarian crisis. So Brazil, Mexico, and Spain are providing humanitarian support. One thing Cuba was very known for is sending their medics, their doctors, their nurses all over the world, especially in disaster areas and those areas that had less access to medical care. So they had doctors all over Latin America. You know, they used to show up in Pakistan as well during disasters. If you remember, during the earthquake, the main earthquake and the floods, it was the Cubans who showed up and the Cuban doctors who showed up, you know, almost right behind Turkey or before Turkey showed up. So now, because of the pressure of the Trump administration and so many of the right-wing new leaders in Latin America, like in Honduras or El Salvador, Ecuador, Venezuela, of course, they're being thrown out and sent back to Cuba. So it's almost like, why don't we hack our own feet off to please Trump? And what substitutes for that medical care? Nobody can answer that. But right now, Cuba is under siege. Cuba is being starved of basic necessities and of energy. The entire island is plunged into darkness. It is an incredible tragedy, and it's not fair to keep saying, oh, the Cubans are so resilient, they're so resilient. Why do they have to be resilient? Why do they have to be treated this way? That is, to me, the point. Why do they have to be? And what is the imminent threat from Cuba that they must be put under this gunboat siege? It's a horrendous situation, but we have a madman who believes that he has the world's most powerful army at his personal command to do his personal bidding, and he has a paramilitary that does his personal bidding within the borders of the United States and is largely controlled by his main man, Stephen Miller. So that is what is going on today. You can already hear Cuba coming up more and more and more in conversations, which makes one think that because Iran has not gone well at all, that suddenly he needs a whole different kind of adventure to engage American psyche and to engage American attention away from a lot of domestic issues as well. And so there's a big worry now for the island of Cuba.